All right. So today we will be talking about Dockerfile. All right. We will be talking about Dockerfile. We will be talking about Dockerfile. We will be talking about Dockerfile. So Dockerfile, as we may have it, it is a document. It is Docker's document that is used for creating images, for creating customizable images. A Docker file is Docker's document for creating a customizable image. Now, all the while, we've been using other people's image. If you remember, we've been using what? Other people's image. We've been using other people's image. All right. So all the while, we've been using other people's image. We've been using other people's image to create containers, right? Now, we need to now know how those images are created, right? We need to know how those images are created. So we want to create our own image and use our own image. So Dockerfile is used to create customizable images. All right. Now, before we get started with creating images with Dockerfile, we must learn the different instructions before we start creating images with Dockerfile. All right. We would learn the different instructions used in a Dockerfile. I will be abbreviating Dockerfile as DF. All right. I'll be abbreviating Dockerfile as DF. So we have it. The Dockerfile is that. Great. All right. So first on our list is the from instructions. Dockerfile instructions. So there's not too much about Dockerfile, as in the definition, right? What is used for is used for creating images. That's period. Now, the next thing now is, what are the instructions used in Dockerfile? Now, the first instruction in a Dockerfile is a from instruction. This instruction is used to define the base image to be used in the Dockerfile. Example. 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 In a Docker file, I'll define something like this: from space, the image name, the base image. Let me start with the syntax. Let's start with the syntax. One sec, guys. Yeah, Alpha. Right. So let me start off with a syntax before I give an example. Let me say syntax. Syntax. The syntax will be something like this: from, then the base image. The base image colon the tag. So this is the syntax. So example would be like this: from, let's say I'm using my base image. I want to take my base image from Apache, all right, from HTTPD colon the version. I could say latest. All right. So now this is it. So let's just run that briefly. So I'll go to my base machine. All right. Now I'll create a file called Dockerfile. Remember, let me put it somewhere here. Note that the name of the Dockerfile has to be Dockerfile, in quotes, Dockerfile, capital D, Dockerfile. All right. So this is how your file has to be like before Docker could recognize it or can recognize it. So if your file is not being spelled like this, capital D Dockerfile, Docker will not be able to recognize it as a Docker file. All right. Except a flag, a -F flag is applied. Now let's check. So now if I go to my base machine, I create a Docker file. Docker file. Now I'll say what? From HTTPD column latest. Latest. I'll escape, I'll save and quit. Now, Docker images. I don't have any Docker images, right? So I want to build this image now. I want to create an image out of this guy. So I'll say what? Docker build -T. So -T is to target. I want to say, if I want to target, I will call it Apache IMG column, maybe I'll say version 1. All right. Now I need to specify the path to where the Docker file is resident. Because the Docker file is in my current directory, I'll be using what? The dot notation. I'll be using what? The dot notation, because my Docker file is in this directory. All right. So I'll say Docker build -T to target Apache IMG column v1, then dot. So I'm going to hit enter. So I'm building a new image from a Docker file. So now, look at now, we have built the image. So if I say Docker images, I should see that a new image based on Apache, all right, has been what? Has been created. You can see the effect of the from what? Instruction. The from instruction. Now, I said something that the file name has to be what? Dockerfile, capital D. Now, let's assume that the file is not a capital D. It's something around small d. Small d. So I have renamed this file to small d. Now, if I try to say Docker build, now see, Docker build -T, I'll target Apache Apache new img column, or can I just say Apache img version 2, all right? And I will say dot. Look at what's going to happen. So if I hit enter, it's going to complain. No, it's not supposed to build this image. What's it building from? No, it's not supposed to build this image. Docker images. No. It's not supposed to build this image. Something is wrong. Now let me change the name. Let me change the name, please. Dockerfile to my Dockerfile. All right. Now let's build. I want to show something. Version 3. All right. Now let's look at now. So unable to prepare context, unable to evaluate symbolic links in Dockerfile path. So you can't find this file. All right. No such file or directory. Okay. I think in the latest version they have it's like they have modified that error, right? It could either be capital D or small d. I think let's check the version of Docker I have. Docker version. So Docker version is 20.10.25. So before, if the Docker file is not with a capital D, it's going to throw up an error. The same way we are getting this error. Okay. Now, but for we to suppress this error and use this file name as our Docker file, we're going to pass a flag. Look at now. I will say Docker build -t Apache img version 3. Then I will use -f. So -f, I'm going to specify the path to my Docker file. So this -f flag is a file flag, the flag telling Docker that this is my what? My Docker file. All right. And where is it present? My Docker file is present in my current directory. If I don't put that path, I'm going to have an error. All right. So you always specify the path where the Docker file is. All right. So since it is in my current directory, I'm going to use the dot notation. All right, the dot notation to tell Docker that the Docker file is in what? This current directory I'm running the command. So look at it. Docker build -t to target -f, then the file name. All right, enter. So it has built the third version. So if I say Docker images, so we have it, right? Great. So this is what I wanted to just show us in brief. So now let's go back to our instructions. The next instruction is going to be the maintainer. This instruction is used to define the owner of the created image. It's going to define who the owner will be. All right, the maintainer, then the name. Now let's say for instance okay, let's say syntax is always the way it is. Syntax is always the way it is. Syntax is always the way it is. All right. So the syntax will be maintainer. And take note, it's always in capital letter. The instructions are always in capital letter, guys. All caps. All right. Maintainer, then the name. I would say Frank. Maintainer label. Sorry. Maintainer, then the label. I will say author name. Author name. All right. Name of author. Now, example. Example will be maintainer Frank. Frank is maintainer. Let's check that one more time. So I'll go back to my Docker file. So I'll move it, I'll rename it back to move my Docker to Docker file. All right. So go into Docker file. So the next line is maintainer. Maintainer will be what? Frank. Escape, save and quit. So I want to build, let me remove all those images. Docker RMI. I'm removing version 2 and version 3. Okay. Image reference is multiple repositories. What is saying? -F. Forcefully remove it. Docker images. Okoma. It don't come out. Okay, no wala. Now let's build now. Docker build -F. Sorry, -T to target. Apache IMG version 1. Then my dot. Right? So I hit enter. So you can see the layers. So images are in layers. So the first layer is one of two. One of two means there are two instructions there are two instructions in the Docker file. So the first layer, right, is from this instruction. Now, since the image is not present locally, it's going to download it. It's pulling it remotely, all right? Then here's the digest. Downloaded newer image. Then the second instruction, which is second step, is what? The maintainer. The maintainer what? Is Frank. Now, how do we see the maintainer? So if I say Docker inspect, then the image name. The image name is Apache IMG version 1. All right. So I want to see the content of this image. So I will hit enter. So let's check. Let's go to the top. We're going to see the parts of the maintainer. Okay. Here's the beginning. Let's check if we could see that. Now you can see now the maintainer is what? Is Frank. It belongs to Frank, which is he is the author to this what? To this image. All right. He is the author. Great. Now let's go back to our whiteboard. Great. Now the next instruction, though this maintainer instruction is optional. Now, great. This is optional. You can add it. You can decide not to add it. Now, the from instruction is required. Great. I just remembered that now. So it's better I put it side by side. Now, the next we have is the work dir. Work directory. So the working directory is required. Though I think it's a best practice. I wouldn't want to say it's required. For work directory, okay, for maintainer, though it is optional, but for best practices, it's good to use what maintainer in your Docker file. Now, work directory is you need it. You need it because if you don't need it, there's nowhere your files will be copied onto. I'm going to show us briefly, right? So work directory is required. Now, so this instruction is used to define the working directory of the working directory where all of your libraries and codes would be copied into. All right. Now, your working directory means where you want all your codes to reside, where you want all your codes to reside, your code, your images that are going to be used by the container.
Dependencies.
Dependencies. Thank you for that reminder. Thank you. Dependencies. All right. You place them in your what? Working directory. Right. So now, example, syntax. Work dir. Then you can say app. You can say directory / directory name. Now, example, work dir / app. Could be any name. All right, any name. You are the creator of the image. All right, so you define it the way you want it. Now let's test that out. Now I'll come back to this guy. So I'll go back to my Dockerfile. Now define my what? A work dir. My work dir is what? /app. All right. Now escape, save, and quit. Let's build a new image. I want to show something. Now Docker build -t Apache img, still on version 1. All right. Dot. Now it's going to create for me 3 layers now. You can see now I've got 3 layers. One is the first layer, the from instruction. The second layer is the maintainer. And the third layer is what? The working directory. Now, I'm going to create a container. I want to create a container briefly out of this image, right? So that you're going to see what I mean by the working directory. All right. Now, let's Docker run -d --name Apache con. All right. Then, because this image is a web server email, I'm going to specify the port. So the web server runs on port 80 externally and internally. Internally, it runs on port 80. So I want to expose it to port 80 externally. Then the image name is Apache img version what? 1. Enter. So Docker PS, I have created a container out of this guy. So let's see how we can access this container from the browser. All right, from the browser, guys. So this is what I will do. I'm going to go to my images. I'm going to pick my public IP. This is my public IP, right? Copy this public IP, go to my browser, and I'll hit enter. So this guy is coming from my container. You can see now from that image that we create. So it works, shows that it is actually working. Now let's go back. Let me show us why. Let me show us where we can find this app, this working directory. So this working directory, the moment I execute into this container, all right, the directory I shall execute into, it is the working directory. You see /app there. Let's try it. So docker exec -it container name Apache con bash. You can see now, the moment I log into this container, the first folder I see is what? The /app folder, which is the working directory of that container, because it was defined in what? In the image. I check, it is empty. It is empty, right? Great. So we are still going to do some pretty things. Let me exit. I'll exit. Let me kill the container. Docker rm Apache con -f. I've killed that container. You can see. All right. So let's continue, guys, with the next instruction. It's step by step. So the next instruction will be a copy instruction. So this instruction definitely is it is best practice. It's recommended. Okay, let me not say required. Let me put recommended. Why? Because for your application to work, you need to copy the required dependencies, the required libraries, the required file from your local machine into the image. So we're going to see that now. All right. So it is recommended. Except you don't want your application to work, then you won't want to use the copy instruction. So let's look at what it's used for. This instruction is used to copy files. When I say files, it means libraries, framework, libraries, frameworks, directories, etc. All right, into your image. So, right, it's used to copy files into what? The image. Now, syntax. The syntax is this: copy the file name, then the destination. File source or source file, to copy from source file to where? To destination. Now, example. So example could be copy. What am I copying? I'm copying install.sh. It's a file in my local machine into, I could represent my destination as dot. This dot means my working directory. That's what it means. Or I could say /app. Copy this file from my base machine into what? /app. /app is my what? Working directory. Similarly, I could use another form of copy. Copy means copy dots. The first dot means copy everything in my base machine space. The second dot is to my working directory. So copy dot dot. Let's try this, guys, and see. Now, I'm going to try the first one. I'll go back to my Dockerfile. Let me rename this guy. Oh, sorry, guys. Let me rename this guy back to small d. Small d, since it's now accepting it. Great. So go back to my Dockerfile. Now, my next instruction, copy install.sh. I'm going to create this file now. Copy install.sh into /app. That is this first example, right? Let's check. Okay. Escape, save and quit. Now create that file, touch install.sh. Now I have that file, yeah? I have the file, okay, in my base machine, right? Now, I want to build now. I'll say docker build -t target Apache img version 1. I want to continue updating that version 1 image. I will build. Now I'm copying this file. That's a fourth layer into what? This guy now. So now I need to build a container out of that. I need to create a container out of the image so that we can log into the container and see if our file was actually copied. So I'll say what? Docker run -d dash 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 name Apache con -p 8080. All right, and the image name Apache img version 1. All right, great. So container created. Now let's execute into the container. So docker exec -it container name Apache con bash. Now let us list the content of this directory. you can see that my file was actually what? Copied. All right. Now, I also need to show us something. Let me exit. When you edit a container on the fly, when you edit a container in runtime, all right, if that container crashes or you recreate a new container out of that same image, every other changes that you may have made inside of the container is going to clean off. You're going to lose those changes because the changes were not done at the image level. Guy, now let me explain this concept before I forge ahead. Image layers are permanent. They might answer this thing in an interview. Note, image layers are permanent. Why container layers are not permanent? I'm going to illustrate, I'm going to demonstrate this now. Image layers are permanent. Now you can see that cat Docker, I copied this image. Sorry, this file at the image level, because this now is a layer. I copied it into what? Into the image. So this copy now is permanent. If I decide to copy a file, let me create a file. Okay, let me copy this file, this zap, into what? Into the container. So I'll say Docker CP. CO. I'm copying zap into where? Into the container. The container will be Apache column app. Perfect. So guys, I hope you not ask me much question because we've done this guy before. How to copy image from your base machine into the running container. So this is what I'm doing. I'm copying this image into what? This is the container name, Apache colon, all right? The working directory. Now, if I execute into this container, Docker execute -it, Apache the container name, then bash. If I check the content of this directory, I should see that file that I just copied. All right. Now I will exit CO to demonstrate that container layer is temporal. It is at the moment. The moment I kill the container, I recreate the container again, that layer is going to wipe off. But the layer in the image is permanent. Now, let's do something now. Let me destroy that image. That container. Docker rm Apache con. I have deleted that container. If I try to create that same image, if I try to create the same container created, remember we copied something into it. Let's see where is that. I think I lost my sound. Please guys confirm if you can hear me. Confirm.
I can hear you.
All right. Agbo is you. Now we have created that what container. Let's now exec into the container and see what's up. So I say what? Docker exec -it Apache con, then bash. I'm inside. Let's check if I will see that file that I copied. That file is no longer there because I have not copied the file at the image level. The image level, you need to include the file inside the file you need to copy inside your Docker file. then create the image alongside that's all that you have copied. Then you're going to have the content at that level. All right. So that is the difference between layers of an image and layers of containers. Layers of an image are permanent, but layers in containers are temporal. They are not permanent. All right. Now let's now perform this second example. Copy everything, dot space dot. That's what it means there. Well, let me highlight this dot where so that you see it. Let me make it bolder. Okay. And another dot bold. Okay, great. Now let's go in there. So let me exit. I'm going to kill this container. Docker rm-f Apache con is done. Now, let me create more files. I'll say touch API 1 to 3 dot py. Now I've created all APIs. Now let's check. Oh shit, man. Oh. Remove API. Let's redo it. It's supposed to be open brace. Now let's check. Like I can see, I've created all this file. Now, this is what I did. Now, this is just a script. Now, what this thing means is I want to use Torch to create API 1, API 2, API 3. That's why I use from 1 to 3. Now, the extension of those APIs will be .py. API 1.py, API 2.py, API 3.py. Guys, pick up these skills. Pick them up. Pick them up. We don't have time. You have to pick it up as they are coming. All right? Great. Now, we need to copy everything from my local machine into what? The running container. Let's check. I'll go into my Dockerfile. Now, I'm going to comment out this instruction. This is comments. The hash symbol is used to create comments in Dockerfile. So that's comment, right? Take note, guys. So I've commented out this line. So I'm going to use copy everything in my local machine space into my working directory. That's what this guy means. All right. Escape, save and quit. I'm going to build that image again. I'll say Docker build -it. Sorry, guys. -t Apache img version 1, then dot. Let's check. So I'm copying everything. It's taking some time because there are plenty into my working directory. It was successful. Now let's create a container out of that image. So I'll say Docker run -d --name Apache con -p. Okay, I'm not going for browser. Let me not expose the ports. Then the image name, Apache img version 1. Created. Docker ps. We have it. Now let's check. Let's exec. Docker exec -it Apache con, then bash. Now let's check the content of this directory if we have all the files. Hello, guys. You can see, even the Docker file, we have the Docker file copied. All right. We have what? The Docker file copied into what? Into the image. So now I'm going to show us again not best practices. All right. Not too good best practices. All right. Now, copying this Docker file into my image, it doesn't make sense. It is making my image look more bigger. It increases the size of the image. So for that, I'm going to build my image with the .docker ignore file. So the .docker ignore file is a file that is used to ignore Docker from copying files from copying those files into your image. Now, let's remember this at this stage. Now we have all of these. So I'm going to ignore some files. Now let's come down here again. Note, use the .docker ignore file, all right, I'm looking at an English word, to the restricts, to prevent Docker from copying every file into the Docker image. Now, the Docker ignore file is used to prevent Docker from copying files into Docker image. Now, this .docker ignore file, how is it used? I'm going to mention the file names that I don't want Docker to copy into the image. I'm going to mention those names, those file names inside of what? Docker ignore file. By mentioning the files to ignore inside of the .docker ignore file, Docker will not copy those files into the image when it is built, right? When the image is what is built. Now let's try an example. Now I'll exit. I'm going to kill this container, docker rm -f apache con dead. Now I'm going to create a .docker ignore file. I'll call it touchroot.docker ignore. Docker ignore. I've created this file. You won't see it because it is a hidden file. Shit. Here's a file. So any file that is mentioned inside of this file will not be copied by Docker. So I don't want this zap to be copied. I don't even want the Docker file to be copied. So I will mention those files. Let me copy this file. Now I'll go into that file, .docker ignore file. I'm inside. I'll mention this file. I'll also mention my Docker file. I'll also mention the API1.py. I don't want API1.py to be copied. I will escape. I'll save and quit. I'm going to build this guy again. I'll say, well, Docker build -t Apache img v1 dot. It's all done, guys. Now, let's create a container and exec into the container and see if actually what we did worked. So Docker run -d -name Apache con Apache img version 1. Now container has been created. Now let's exec into that container. Docker exec -it Apache con then bash. Let's check. You can see, guys, even at the level when we said copy everything, I'm exiting. Check your instruction. I say what? Copy everything from my local machine. Copy all of these things into my what? My image. But I have used a cliche. I've used a constraint that I don't want everything to be copied in as much as I'm copying all the files. I don't want every of the file to be copied into my image. Please, Docker, ignore some certain files. That is why we are building our Docker image with what? Docker ignore. And it is a best practice. It's part of the best practices for building your Docker images with what? Docker ignore. The idea will be to reduce the size of the image. They will always ask you this thing in an interview, guys. What is the idea of or they will ask you, how do you reduce the size of an image? We are going to come to much more common answers, all right, of reducing the size of an image. But the first basic approach of reducing the size of an image is by building with what? Docker ignore, by including files that you need to ignore into what? The Docker ignore file by Docker. All right. So now that was the copy instruction. We are moving forward, guys. Now, the next instruction will be a run instruction. This is just recommended. This instruction is used to execute commands. It's used to what? Execute commands. Syntax. We would say run, then any command. Let's say, for instance, I need to download some files. Wget run command name command executor example. Run command could be, I want to install some certain package, or I want to download. Now wget a file, which is command name. Wget from where? Let's say I need to download something, a file from https column to be enterprise. This is the endpoint slash user slash downloads slash my file dot gz. Right? So anything I do definitely is going to go into what? My working directory. So if I download this file, that file, it's going to go what? Into what? My working directory. It's going to go into my what? Working directory. Let's try that and see. So I'll come to my Dockerfile. So I'm going to use the next instruction, run. Wget what? Wget, let's download the file. Let me go to GitHub. Let me go to my GitHub account and let me download this zip file, right? I'll right click, then I'll copy link address. I need that zip file. So I'll come here, I'll paste it. So I need this file, all right? So it's going to be main.zip. Now escape, save and quit. Docker rm -f apache con. Deleted. Let's build the image. Docker build -t target apache img column v1 dot. Now you see, so we are having an error. wget is not found. All right. So we need to install wget. Let's check if call can use call. So I'll go into the Docker file. I'll copy this line. I'll paste it. I'll comment out this guy. Let me use call instead of that. Call instead of wget. If call will be present. So call dash capital L, is it dash capital O, right? I'm downloading this guy now. Escape, save and quit. Let's build again. Docker build. So it's always saying that call is not found. So let's see how we can install these guys inside of what? Inside of the image. So I'll go, I don't know the kind of Linux that Apache is using. So let's go back. Guys, watch you. Let me comment out this part. Let me rerun this container and I will check the kind of the version of Linux that Apache is using. Now, I have that image already. So I'm going to create a container out of it. The container will be this level, 182, line 182, 182. So Docker PS, the container has been created. Now, what I did now is part of history. So in history, when you type history will show you all the commands that you've typed so far. Now, if you need to recall those commands, all right, if you need to recall the command, like I want to delete this container now. I want to recall this command on line 189. I'll use exclamation sign. Exclamation sign followed by the line number. The line number is 189. It's going to delete the container. All right. I run my history again. Which line created again? 195. I'll say exclamation sign 195 to create the container. So if I say Docker PS, the container has been created. Take note, guys. Now, let's do a Docker exec into the container. I'll say Docker exec dash IT Apache con then bash. Now, what I want to check the version of the Linux. So I'll say uname dash A. Uname dash A, let's see. I'm not seeing anything that makes sense. Let me put arrow. Still doesn't make sense. I'm only seeing Linux, this, Amazon. Now, let me check my OS release. Cat etc asterisk release. Great, I have something here now. So what kind of Linux is this? This is a Debian. It's using Debian. All right. So for Debian-based distribution, the way you handle package installation is different. Now let's try to install call. So I'll go to Google, guys. I'll go to Google and I'll type how to install package. I will say package manager. I'll say Debian. Debian is Debian 12. Debian package manager. Package manager. Let me see. They use apps. Let me still see. DPKG. Which package manager does Debian use? It uses apt advanced package 2. Okay, let me try if it will work. Now, let's try. Now, let me go to that what? Dockerfile. Now, before I do my run, I'm going to install a package. I'm going to say run apt install wget. I'll be installing wget. And also, I can say and wget and use wget. Right? So what I'm doing now is I'm passing multiple commands on the same line. So I'm using and to separate the two different commands. However, I could use a backward slash a backward slash to indicate line break. So I'll come down. I have created a line break. A line break means I'm telling Docker, I'm telling Bash, this is Bash now, that see, the first statement is different from the second statement. This statement is different from the second statement, but they are using the same instruction. So I'm using one instruction to perform two statements. It's going to install the package. Then it's going to what? Perform this operation. Because this package is now available, it's going to use that package to what? To download this file. Now let's check. So I'm going to add a y -y to accept -y. Now let's escape, save and quit. Let's build this image. Docker build -t Apache IMG version what? 1 dot. What's our error? Now, warning, apt does not have a stable CLI. Use with caution, okay? Within package list, unable to locate package. So it can't locate the package because there's no update. So let's perform an update. Let me go back to the Docker file. So I'll also do an apt update. Apt update to update my package repository. Take note, guys. So take note. Apt update. All right. Then I'll use apt install. So definitely I'm going to perform what? A line break. That's a line break because I'm passing what? Multiple commands at the same time. Escape, save and quit. So it's going to do an update. After the update, then it's going to build. Look at now. What is this? What is it? Apt update. Update command takes no arguments. Update command. Update. Apt updates. Why is not accepting this thing now? Oh yeah, wait, let me do something. -y. Let me rerun. It's giving me an error. Let's go back. So I'll run this guy separately. So I'll run you separately, apt update separately. Then let me use a different run instruction for these other guys. All right. Save and quit. Now let's run it. Build. So it's now doing an apt update. So after updating, it's trying to install. Why is it doing this rubbish? What's it? Unable to locate package. wget. wget. You know the wget. dpkg-i. Let me try to use dpkg instead of apt. dpkg-i, which is install wget. Let's try this. Then build. Out update is running. No such file directory, cannot access archive. Okay, let's try call. Let's try dpkg install. Install call. Let's try to install that level. Let's go back. Apt install. Apt install. Let's see something. So if you can use apt to install it directly, then directly. Then let's see how to use a script. Let's use a script, guys. Let's go how to install call on Debian. On Debian. Install call in Debian. Let's check. Let's check, guys. Install call on Debian. Let's see how did they install it. Apt update this and apt upgrade. Apt install call. It's straightforward now. Apt install call. Apt upgrade. Apt updates and apt upgrade. All right. Then apt install. Wait, is it this thing that is? Well, let me comment out this guy. Comment out this guy. Apt install call -y. Let's rerun it. Okay, it's like, okay, wait to upgrade. Do you want to continue? Otherwise, okay, I need to put a y here. Apt upgrade -y because it's asking for yes or no. So let's redo it. It's upgrading the package. Let's see if it will install it. All right, it was successful installing that guy. So let's see what happened. So it has installed call inside of the image. So my image now has call, right? My image now has call. So let's go back to that image. So my image has call now. So let me use the backward slash, then like this. Then I want to use only one run statement. One run. Then I'll use backward. All right. So we're installing. Okay, we're installing call. Then let me try to install gets. Let me see something. wget. Let's build. So it's complaining about wget. I have to install. Wait, let me check something. Let me check if it is this line that is breaking that stuff. Comment it out. Let's try to install wget again. Okay. Is unable to locate this wget. Why? Okay, let's continue with call. Let's continue with call. Install call. And run. Use call here. Instead of this, let's use call. Call -capital O. All right. Let's check. We run it. Wait, what's happening now? Wait, okay. It's not understood in combination with other options. Well, let me try. Your own statement is different. Remove a line break. To locate package. Unable to locate package. I'm coming. What's happening here? Remove this guy, the line break. Why is that line break not working for me now? It's trying to use different, it's using different instructions per line. So you can see now that guy was actually downloaded. So it has gone through now. So it wanted me to use each instruction with the run command, Docker. All right. So with this now, I've been able to download this guy with a call command, right? Download this file into the image. All right. So what was I even talking about? Oh, the run statement. Okay, run. The run instruction. We were trying to see how to demonstrate the run instruction. All right. So now let's go into this container. Let's create a container out of this guy. Now there's a way I can create a container such that the moment I exit the container should exit. The container should delete by itself the moment I exit that container. Now, Docker run, guys, watch you. Docker run --rm --rm -it, right? Then the container name --name Apache con, then the image name Apache img version 1. I'll explain this. Oh, wait. Oh, container is already existing. Let me delete it. Docker rm -f Apache con. Done. Now let me recreate it. What is this happening? Wait to exit Docker ps-a. Okay, ma. What is this thing? Create this thing here. Almost. So let's remove these guys here, guys. Docker rm -f dollar Docker waiting Docker ps dash waiting -aq, right? So all this command will delete all the containers. They're all deleted. Take note, guys. That's a command. Take note. So Docker ps-a, they're all clean. So what happened? All right. So let me look at that command again. Docker run rm is supposed to, let me remove this it first. Could not reliably determine the server's fully qualified domain name. Command line. Exit. No, it's supposed to log me in. It's supposed to log me in. Docker ps-a. So what I want to do is, I don't want this container when I create it. I don't want it to be there. So I want to use a command such that it's a single command that will create the container, and the moment I type exit from the container, it should terminate the container and delete it from my system, right? So there's a command for that. Docker run, let me check for help. Docker run --help. Docker run, there's a command for that. This is attach, detach, interactive. Oh, why not now? Docker container --help. Docker container creates --help. And same thing, guys. Let me Google it. How to create a Docker container and exit. How to make Docker container, how to create a Docker container and then terminate when exited. Okay, a running Docker container. I think this is it. Let me check. Docker container stops immediately after reference. This is Debian. Let's check that stuff, guys. Oh, okay. I will show us that guy. All right. It's just one small command. All right. I will do the research and show us. Let's not waste much time. So we were on what? The run instruction. We were on the run what? Instruction. Let's check our Dockerfile. Cat Dockerfile. Now, the next instruction will be user. Best practices is recommended. It's recommended that you build with a user what? A user account. Let's check. Now, this instruction is used to is used to is used to mitigate the user privilege in an image. The user instruction. Well, let me check properly. Let me check Dockerfile user instruction. Let's look at the user instruction. We can look at Dockerfile reference. What is it? Okay, this command. Okay, Docker run dash rm. Okay, dash it. Okay, I think okay, rm dash. This should be in detach. I need to attach it. All right. So I'll come back to that command. Let me show us something. This user instruction. User. Yeah, the user instruction. Where is this defined? User ID for new cache directory. No. The user instruction. Where is it defined? Where are you defined? User. Oh, 89. God, it blinks you. Where is that instruction? I should get there any moment. User instruct. Okay, user instruction. What's it used for? User and the username. Let's check. The user instruction sets the username or UID, and optionally, the user group or to use as the default user and group for the remainder of the current stage. The specified user is used for run instructions and at runtime runs relevant entry points. Now, see here, the user instruction is used to run commands. This instruction is used to run commands in a Docker file. This instruction is also used to mitigate the user privilege in an image. Now, by default, it is the root user Docker file. It is the root user that Docker is using to run all of these commands. It is the root user. Now, for best practices, after you have used, because you know that a user cannot install a package, it's only a root user that can install a package. After you have used the root user to install the package, to install what? All of this package, Docker recommends that you should switch the user from root to what? To an ordinary user. Let me show you us why. Now, Docker PS, there's no image. There's no container. Now, I want to create a container. I want to show us something now. Docker run -d. Name is Apache con. Then image name, Apache IMG version 1. I have created a container. I want to execute into this container. Docker exec -it Apache con, then bash. Guys, watch you. Now, when you execute into this container, take a critical look at this prompt. What do you see here? You see a hash symbol. A hash symbol tells us that it is root that this container is running on. Now, if I say UID is going to show me that command not found. So I'm going to install this command. Why? UUID. Let me try that on my base machine. UID. Okay. What command should I do? Come on. UUID. Wait. Why is this a wrong command? I'm coming. Maybe I'm not typing it properly. Okay, ID, sorry, ID. But it's supposed to be okay. Now look at now ID. Now let me exec back into that container. Exec back. Now if I type ID is going to show me that the user ID is root. The group ID is root. And the groups is root. All right. If you leave this image like this, if you leave this container like this container is prone to an attack. It's prone to an attack, meaning that if an attacker gains access to this container, he can escalate his privilege. He can what? He can escalate his privilege. He will use this root account to perform a lot of havoc. You can see now this image, this container as it is now has root access. So you can do anything. You can install application. You can delete users. You can create users. But I don't want that to happen. Look at now. I can say add user Frank. Password 1212. I have added the user, guys. Let me check the home directory. ls-l home. You can see I created a new user called Frank. Can install malicious programs inside of this container because of what? The root access. I can say apt install. Let's say this program is a malicious program. Apt install MySQL server. MariaDB. Let me say MariaDB. MariaDB server. Yes. All I'm doing now is an assumption. I'm assuming that MariaDB server is a malicious package. You can see, I can use this root account to do a lot of things. That is why Docker is recommending that whenever you are building your Dockerfile, when you are done building your Dockerfile, all those parts that has to do with root privileges, please always switch to what? An unprivileged user. Now, if I type my ID, I'll see that this container is running with what? Root privilege, which is very, very dangerous, guys. So let me exit. I'm going to change that now. Take note of this prompt. My prompt is going to change from the hash symbol to what? To the dollar symbol when I will switch to what? To the ordinary user. I'll go back to the Dockerfile. On this Docker file, I need to install a user. Sorry, I need to create a user. Run. I'll say what? Add user. Add user. Add user. Add user. Toby. All right. Though this guy will always ask for password, but let me see. Now, once that user has been added, I also need to switch. I'll say what? Switch user to what? Toby. Switch user to what? To Toby. And sorry. And switch user to what? To Toby. Escape. Then once I've switched user to Toby, I'll now use the user instruction. No, sorry. Remove this part. I'm not using this part. I have created the user. Now I need to switch the user. I'll use what? The user instruction. User Toby. I have switched user to what? To Toby. Now let's escape. Let's create this image now. Docker build -t Apache img v1 dot. Now, this user was created to be user. Now it was switched. Where was that user? Adding user to be to group users. In the information, correct. Adding user to be to supplement. Now let's check. Let's create a container now. I'll delete that container. Docker rm-f Apache con. Done. Now let's create a new container. Asterisk exclamation 251. Docker ps. What happened? Let's check why it exited. Docker logs. Apache con. Why he exits? What did I do? Wait. Remove it. Docker rm. Docker run -d name Apache on Apache img v1 Docker ps. No, what's happening? Docker. Okay, add user. Well, let me on Ubuntu, when you use the add user command, all right, it's going to ask for password. So that password part, we are not getting that password part. So let me show something. How to pass let me comment out this part first. How to use password in standard inputs. All right. All right. How to use password in standard inputs. How to use password in standard inputs. So let me recreate that container. Let me remove it first. Docker remove. Recreate. Docker ps. Oh, what didn't happen? It's a different error. What happened? Docker logs. Apache. Oh. It's the old image. It's the old image. Guys. It's still having that user and add user. So let me rebuild it. Rebuild. All right, so that part will be wiped off. So that part is gone now. So that part is gone. So now let's rerun. Docker run. Great. Docker ps. So it's back now. So Docker Docker exec. I want to check something. Docker exec -it Apache con bash. add user, Frank. So you can see now this guy is asking for password. So I need to pass this password in the terminal, all right? So that I won't have that error. So this is what we'll do. There's a script called for creating users, multiple users. For user in users, do add user standard in, let me check. It's been long. Okay, how to automatically add user account and password. Guys, watch you. It's been long I did this thing. So this is how to create user on the terminal and also pass password. Password new user. No, I don't want to use this. How to automatically add user account and password with the bash script. Where this guy is using a bash script. No, let's see. Echo. I don't want to use this. Okay, they are using this guy. Echo this guy. So you change password for user. I'm coming. Okay. Let me try something. Copy. Let me try something. For user in users, Mimi, do add user, dollar users. I'm coming on. For user in, well, let me stop this, pause this recording. Once I'm done, we stopped at user instruction. Okay, so when we come tomorrow, I'm going to perfect this guy, right, so that we can see how to create a user from the terminal and assign password to that user inside a Dockerfile. Right, that's we have to do inside of Dockerfile. Because ordinarily, if I'm using a Dockerfile based on Red Hat flavor, it will not ask me of password. But Ubuntu asks of password whenever I use the add user. All right. As you can see, if I say add user Timmy, if you want to create, okay, something is happening somewhere. Let me kill this process. ps-aux. PS is not installed. apt install ps. Pass install. All right, guys. Let's come back. It's like this thing is wait. Let's exit. Okay, I've exited. Let me try that thing again. Let me try that command. Let me try this guy again. Still holding it. Let me exit and exit. Well, let me come back inside again. Let me try and run that command. 20. Wait, guys. History. For user in. Oh, already exists. That user already exists. Let me use a different user. For user in to bees with an S. It's actually not password. So guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. All right. I'll work on it and I will see you tomorrow. All right. Atiku, I'll take your stuff and what's this? Add user.
Yeah, just to
No, this thing will exit. Your container will exit. Your container is exiting.
Yeah.
It's exiting because of this guy. It's exiting somewhere. All right.
Okay.
So I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let me end the session and yeah. So tomorrow I'll rectify it. All right. Thank you guys.